Good morning, everyone. So today I have planned to start chapter 6 of IGCSE biology as per the latest syllabus. So chapter 6, in the previous video I have done chapter 4, 5. Today I'm doing chapter 6. In chapter 6 we have 6.1 photosynthesis, in which we will discuss about the photosynthesis basics and how the carbohydrate is produced by using sun's energy. We'll see the word equation of the photosynthesis as well as the chemical equation of the photosynthesis, a balanced chemical equation. We'll talk about the chlorophyll and we'll talk about how chlorophyll transfers energy from light into the energy in chemicals like carbohydrate. Then this topic deals with uh, storage food material. We'll talk about starch, which act as an energy storage molecule. We'll talk about cellulose. We'll talk about the glucose, sucrose, and the nectar, which is produced by the plant by the process of photosynthesis. Then we'll talk about importance of mineral ion, and basically we will talk about the two mineral ion, which is nitrate and magnesium ion. We'll see what happens if nitrate ion and magnesium ion is not there in the plant. What will happen? What uh, sign plant will give. Then we are not going to touch this investigation part of this topic because this belongs to alternate to practical paper. So in today's we'll just discuss about the basics of photosynthesis. Then we will talk about the leaf structure. So 6.1 from top point 1 to point 6 and 6.2 completely I will cover today. And in the next video I will talk about the investigation and identification of the limiting factor. These four topics will be discussed in the next session. So let's begin. So let's begin with the topic. So we are going to discuss what is plant nutrition. In the plant nutrition, we basically will discuss about the photosynthesis and how the leaf is adapted to perform the process. So without sun's energy, this process is impossible. And second thing is chlorophyll pigment, because chlorophyll is the molecule which is going to trap sun's energy. So if the chlorophyll molecule is not there, this process is impossible by the plant to be done. So generally photosynthesis occurs in all green plants. We say green plants because they have chlorophyll and they make glucose from the raw material, that is carbon dioxide and water. At the same time, when the reaction of photosynthesis is going on inside the plant, oxygen is produced, and this oxygen is the waste product of the reaction. So when we say waste product, doesn't mean that plant is not going to use. Plant will use, but the main purpose of doing this reaction is to produce food, not the oxygen. That is why we call them as a waste product. Now, the reaction required energy. So now the question is from where this energy will come and who will give this energy and how energy will go to the plant. So energy is produced by is trapped by the chlorophyll pigments present in the chloroplast of the plant cell. And sun is the ultimate source of energy, we all know. So sun's energy is taken by this chlorophyll pigment and it is being utilized in the process and a carbohydrate is produced. So you can see in the right side of the screen, I have shown one animation shows how the photosynthesis takes place. So we can define the term by saying that the process by which plants manufacture simple sugar or carbohydrate from the raw material such as carbon dioxide, water, and sun's energy. This makes your complete definition. If the question is to describe or define the term, you can write this statement. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. These basics are very clear. Now, this slide is very important because here we have to know what is word equation, what is chemical equation. I know in Cambridge many people they don't take chemistry, and those who have chemistry they will able to understand this. And Cambridge asked question on this. So, but what mistake students do when the question is to write word equation, they will write chemical equation, or sometimes they ask chemical equation, you will write word equation. Or sometimes if you have written the chemical equation but the equation is not balanced, so in all the cases the marks is gone. So generally they ask chemical equation in 3 marks. So 3 marks means the reactant and product side should be clearly mentioned. So if reactant is correct, you will get 1 mark, product is correct, you will get 1 mark, and if the equation is completely balanced, you will get the third marks. So always remember, you have to remember 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 6 molecule of water, 1 molecule of glucose, and 6 molecule of oxygen is being produced. And in the word equation, we can write carbon dioxide, water, glucose, and oxygen. No need to mention light and chlorophyll, right? So this is again an important slide and important concept you have to remember. Let's go to the next slide. Now the question is from where all these raw material are coming in the plant. So when we say carbohydrate, so carbohydrate is coming inside the plant by the process of diffusion through the small pores called stomata. On the lower side of the leaf, there is a guard cell. Guard cell controls the stomata opening and closing. So when the process of diffusion takes place, there is a difference in the CO2 concentration in and out of the plant. So due to that difference, the plant receives carbon dioxide from the air and it goes into the plant, into the leaf. Water, we know that water is absorbed by the root. Root have xylem tissues and the xylem vessel is formed in the stem, and with the help of that xylem tube the water goes up by the help of suction pressure. We'll discuss detail about the transportation of water in the some other topic. So in very brief we will say that water is going up into the leaf by the process of transpiration. So transpiration is sucking the water up into the tube, right, like a straw, like how we with the help of straw we drink water or drink anything. So the suction pressure is created by the transpiration, and with the help of that transpiration, the water is coming up through the xylem vessels and goes to the leaf. So, okay, so now we got the main raw material, carbon dioxide and water. Now we need sunlight. Sunlight is fault. Chlorophyll molecule will trap these energies and it will form glucose. So glucose is produced, and the glucose is the simplest form, so it may get dissolved in the water, so it is transported in disaccharide like sucrose and stored in the polysaccharide like starch, right? So this is how the glucose molecule is produced, and the oxygen which is produced as a byproduct, as a waste product, is diffuses out through stomata, or oxygen may be used up in the respiration process to produce energy. Of course, plant need oxygen, plant need energy. So the glucose is being used for respiration to produce energy, or oxygen is also being used to produce energy. Right? Now, what is chlorophyll? So chlorophyll is a pigment. It's a green pigment. They appear green in color. So that is why we call them green pigment. And they are found in the chloroplast. Chloroplast is a cell organelle where the photosynthesis takes place in the plant cell. And chlorophyll, they do two things. First, trapping sun's energy, and second, transferring energy from light to the chemical form, light energy to the chemical energy form in the form of carbohydrate. So when we say carbohydrate, it has energy from the sun, and this is very important product of the plant, and we all are consumers, so we have to feed on plant to take carbohydrate. Now the question is, where the carbohydrate is used. So if you can see on the left side, I have shown that glucose is being used in many forms. Like, take an example number one. Glucose is converted into starch, and it is stored in the cell as a effective energy storage molecule. Or the glucose may be converted into cellulose to make the cell walls. Maybe glucose is directly used for the respiration process. Maybe glucose is converted into disaccharide, sucrose, so that it can get transported, right? Or it may be form nectar to attract insects, which can help in pollination. Or sometimes glucose is converted into different form to produce proteins, lipids, DNA molecules in the cells, in the plant cells. So there are all these possible uses and the storage of the glucose in plants. So these 5 bullet points are very important as per the exam. They ask the use and the function of the glucose produced by photosynthesis. So you can write any 5 points from this. Now we'll talk about the minerals. So minerals are again a very important component of the plant, and carbohydrate contain an element like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. But the protein is the only molecule which contain nitrogen in the cell, apart from DNA. So DNA also contain, but here we are talking about the protein. So protein also contain nitrogen. And the other chemicals which is required by the plant is magnesium ion and nitrogen. These two are very important. Magnesium helps in making chlorophyll and nitrogen helps in making the plant body. Plant strength and tensile strength of plant growth is controlled by the nitrogen. Not directly by nitrogen. Nitrogen will form present in the protein and that protein will help. That means without these elements, plant cannot photosynthesize, or you can say they can't grow properly. There will be some deformation in the shape, or there is ill effect like plant leaf will become yellowish or brownish, or there's a dull appearance. We'll see two mineral ion which is important in the plant as per the syllabus. Okay, so this is your fully new, in the middle you can see they are fully healthy plant is there. If there is a magnesium ion deficiency, Mg2 plus ion deficiency is there, you will find that leaf turns yellowish, also called chlorosis. Now, why leaf is turning yellow? Because first of all, there is no magnesium, and magnesium is required to make chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is needed to absorb light, and if light is not there, photosynthesis is not going on, glucose is not going to form, and glucose is not further being modified into amino acid or protein. That is why plant have slightly dull appearance or yellowish color. If there is no nitrate ion, like plant have deficiency in the nitrate ion, so you'll find this stunted growth. Leaf will turn yellow. In both the cases, leaf will turn yellow, but in the right side, in this case, leaf will be poorly developed. Now, nitrate ion is used in making amino acid, which is a component of protein. So if there is no protein, that means there is no growth, because protein is called building block. So if the form and the structure of the plant is due to the amino acid. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So this slide is again important. It has summary of this what we have discussed. Magnesium ion, number one, function makes chlorophyll. If there is a deficiency, the leaf will become yellowish between the veins. Again, very important. Vein will be green, but the other part of the vein, other part of the leaf will be yellow. Also called chlorosis. Nitrate ion. Nitrate are the source of nitrogen, which is used in making proteins. So if protein is not there, plant will be ill-developed, shunted growth, and yellowing of leaf. Okay, now we'll go to the last section. This is 6.2 leaf structure. We have not touched any investigation part because for investigation part I'm making another video that will be the part 2 of the plant nutrition. We'll see there. So let's continue with the leaf structure. So leaf structure is this is the leaf. If you'll see the leaf margin, the margin of the leaf look like this. It's very thin, but if you'll see in the microscope, you'll find there are several layers. So from the top, let's see from the top, the first layer, which is shown here, this upper epidermis. Always remember, wherever there is an epidermis means the outer layer. So it may be upper epidermis, maybe lower epidermis. So depending on where the epidermis is present, you can give the name. So here it is present on the top of the leaf. So I have given upper epidermis. Then we have palisade mesophyll layer, which is rectangular, tightly packed cells. You can see here. Then we have spongy mesophyll layer, which is loosely arranged, irregular shapes. Shape is not defined. Then after that, you have lower epidermis, and in the lower epidermis, you have a guard cells. How to differentiate guard cells and the lower epidermis? So you can see the lower epidermis, there is no chlorophyll molecule. I mean, there is no chloroplast. There is no green dots, but you can find green color, circular, spherical structure in the guard cell. That means they contain chloroplast. They will do photosynthesis, right? So from the top to the bottom, the layer will be upper epidermis. Next is palisade. Next we have a spongy mesophyll. Then we have lower epidermis, and then cuticle layer. So cuticle layer is present on the both the side, upper and the lower. Thickness will be different. So the one line which you can see on the top, that is a cuticle layer. So here is another slide which shows the systematically arrangement of the leaf layer. So first is wax cuticle layer, which I was saying. Then we have square box square cells called upper epidermis. Then we have a rectangular, tightly arranged uniform shape, that's palisade. Then we have the spongy mesophyll. Spongy mesophills are irregular shapes. There are some gaps in the cells, in between the cells. So for the gaps are called air gaps or air space. Then we have lower epidermis. Then we have a guard cells, and in between the guard cell we have a stomata, through which the gas exchange takes place. Now, where is xylem and the phloem? That's very important. Xylem and phloem is given here. This is the black and white image of the leaf structure. In the exam, they can ask you this to label where is xylem and where is phloem. So the innermost will be phloem and the outermost will be the xylem. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now we'll see the function of each part, what wax cuticle do. So wax cuticle is a fat layer, or you can say lipid layer. They have just one function to protect the layer and prevents water from evaporating. So if we know that water get evaporate during the daytime, so to minimize the water loss, there is a wax layer. Wax layer have another role. It will reflect 90% of the light, sun's light. If it is not going to reflect, then plants leaf will get burnt due to heat. So wax cuticle layer reflects the light. After that, we have a upper epidermis. Again, it's a thin layer and it's transparent, so that light which is falling on the leaf, it should to the palisade. And palisades are the column-shaped cells. They are tightly arranged and they have a chloroplast, and they contain chlorophyll, which absorbs sunlight. And the maximum photosynthesis takes place here in the palisade. Spongy mesophyll cells and another layer of mesophyll layer, which have irregular shapes, and there are gaps in the cells, in the gap of the cells. The reason is to increase the surface area to the volume ratio, so that diffusion of gases takes place, generally CO2 molecule. Then we have lower epidermis. Lower epidermis, they don't have chlorophyll except the guard cells, and there is a gap called stomata. What guard cells do? Guard cells absorb and lose water so that they can open and close the stomata depending on the condition. And when stomata open, gases exchange takes place. What is stomata? Stomata is the place where gas exchange takes place. So it opens during the daytime because photosynthesis process is going on. So exchange of CO2 will obviously go on. So plant during the daytime, stomata will open. During nighttime, they get closed. So to minimize, there is no photosynthesis during nighttime, so that's why it will be closed. Also, it provide a way for evaporation of water during the daytime. During daytime, transpiration process is going on, so through stomata, water is lost in the form of water vapor. In most plant, found in much greater concentration on the underside of the leaf. Why they are underside? Because the sunlight is not going to fall on the underside of the leaf, the lower part of the leaf, just to reduce the water loss. Then we have a vascular bundle. Vascular bundle means xylem and phloem, both called vascular bundle. So xylem transports water and phloem transports all the food material to the from the leaf to the different parts of the plant. Now the question is how leaf is adapted to perform photosynthesis in the plant. So if you will see the structure, you will find that leaves are having a large surface area, and the large surface area helps in maximizing surface area for diffusion of carbon dioxide or absorption of the sunlight. Leaf is thin, and it also allows carbon dioxide to diffuse to the palisade mesophyll cells immediately. It should it should not take long way to reach to the palisade. That's why leaf is thin. Then there is a chlorophyll molecules to absorb sunlight. There are network of veins to supply water to each and every part of the plant cells, palisade mesophyll cells, so that they can do photosynthesis. Stomata, obviously, for gas exchange. So as demand of CO2 will increase, so diffusion will be faster inside the leaf. And as the production of oxygen will increase, oxygen will diffuse out. Epidermis is thin, the top layer, and the lower layer, the lower epidermis and the upper epidermis is thin and transparent because it allows more light to reach to the palisade cells. Purpose of thin cuticle layer is to protect the leaf from blocking the sunlight, reflecting sunlight so that it should not get burnt. So there are so many other functions. Palisade cells, why they are located on the top? So that absorption and maximum photosynthesis can take place. Spongy layer, spongy layers have irregular shapes so that CO2 can diffuse into the leaf and increase the surface area. Vascular bundles, they have thick cell walls in the tissue in the bundles to help to support the leaf. So the leaf shape should be maintained. So to maintain the leaf shape, there are vascular bundles. Okay, so they may ask question in the alternative practical to identify the leaf structure, or in paper 3 in the core paper and paper 4 in extended paper. So they can ask you to label the parts so you can see. They can ask to label chloroplast, they can ask to label cuticle layer, guard cells, stomata, upper and lower epidermis, palisade mesophyll, spongy mesophyll, air gaps, xylem and the phloem. So you can prepare yourself based on these diagrams. Shows how the CO2 goes into the leaf. So you can see first, the higher concentration of CO2 is in the atmosphere because we are respiring, we are producing CO2. So obviously there will be more CO2 in the atmosphere. Not about the human, it's about all the animals, plants, industries, they release a CO2. So it will go into the it will go into the stomata by the process of diffusion into the leaf through open stomata into air spaces in spongy cells. Then CO2 will diffuse through the cell wall and goes into the mesophyll cells for photosynthesis. So this is the pathway of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to the chlorophyll, to the chloroplast, and how the photosynthesis will takes place. So the sequence will be from atmosphere goes into the air spaces around the mesophills, then leaf mesophills cells, and then chloroplast, and then chlorophyll will use the sun's light and convert it into glucose molecule. This is an electron micrograph image. So they may ask you to label the part. So you can use this. Okay, so let's have a test. So which is the equation for photosynthesis is correct? So you can see the first three is wrong because we are going to get glucose molecule, not glucose is being used up. So first A, B, C is wrong. D is correct answer because in the D they are given 6 CO2, 6 water and 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecule of oxygen is produced. So D is the correct answer. What are the raw material necessary for photosynthesis? Obviously carbon dioxide and water. So A is the important part. A is correct. If you are able to answer this, that means you have understood the basics of the photosynthesis. If you have any question, you can write to me. Okay. And good luck for this topic. This topic contains some investigation part of the topic, which we will cover in the next section. So far, this is a part A of plant nutrition. In the next, we'll show you the investigation question on how to plan investigation, and we'll discuss some alternative practical questions. Thank you.